Damien Ryan for Nightline.
Now let's go to reporter Tim Avia, who's been at the Royal Darwin Hospital tonight. Tim, good evening. They've been quick to operate. The President's condition, we understand, is dire. However, the doctors are saying they're fairly optimistic.
They are. He was brought to Royal Darwin Hospital this afternoon by a police guard. Now, doctors say his condition is extremely serious but stable, so they are hopeful he will make a full recovery. However, they can't rule out he will suffer some sort of long-term injury. He has two bullet wounds to his chest, and they are quite serious. One has grazed his lung, as we understand, and he lost 8 litres of blood on the way over here. Now, this is what doctors had to say a short time ago about his injury.
The wounds are consistent with those of a battle scene. The chest trauma is such that it has indeed, the bullet has penetrated his chest, injuring quite severely part of the lower right lung.
Yes, and in saying that, they don't know how long he's going to have to spend in hospital. He was conscious when they brought him in this afternoon. However, he hasn't been able to speak to relatives. Now, this is what they had to say a short time ago about how long he could have to stay there.
Much of it will depend in the first instance on the exploratory surgery or the additional surgery that's occurring at the moment. It'll depend also on decisions that are made by the family, whether they're happy for him to remain here in Darwin and have all of his treatment here.
Tim, it would seem that the condition of Jose Ramos Horta is a little better than they thought, quite remarkably lucky in a sense. Who is beside or at his bedside tonight with him, besides the doctors, obviously?
Well, as the doctors mentioned, his family is talking about how long he will be in hospital for, and he was very fortunate in that his mother was actually passing through Darwin this morning, so she was able to go straight to the hospital to visit him, where she's been by his bedside ever since. His wife has also flown over from East Timor to join him, and she's there as well. And also the Foreign Minister has arrived a short time ago, and he's currently waiting with his wife and his mother, and they're currently waiting for the operations to finish. So they're all there. And as well, Stephen Smith, our own Foreign Minister, he's going to the hospital tomorrow as well to visit Mr Ramos Horta. Yeah,
indeed. Sounds like he'll be at that hospital for quite a while too. OK, Tim Avia in Darwin, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Michael.
So from Tim Avia in Darwin to reporter Justin O'Brien, who is in the East Timorese capital, Dili. Justin, just what is the state of affairs there tonight? Justin O'Brien reporting there from Dili, wrapping up our coverage on the assassination attempt on Jose Ramos Horta. Now, tonight's other news, and a Sydney woman has been stabbed to death in Barley. Local police say 34-year-old Heidi Murphy suffered 16 wounds and may have tried to fight off her attacker. Distraught friends gathered outside her home as forensic officers searched it for clues. Relatives in the New South Wales town of Dubbo are devastated.
For something like this to happen to her, it's just something that you don't think is ever going to happen to you in your own family.
Ms Murphy ran a textile business in Barley, and police believe she may have known her attacker. The words Aborigines have been waiting to hear for decades will be made public tomorrow ahead of Wednesday's Sorry Day ceremony in Canberra, as Prime Minister Kevin Rudd puts the finishing touches to the apology to the stolen generations. Thousands of Aborigines have begun making their way to Parliament House, which was tonight lit up ahead of Wednesday's formal apology.
It's a bright spot on the road to reconciliation. The capital illuminated by candles in the countdown to the formal apology to the stolen generations. On the grounds of Parliament, the anticipation's getting louder, with less than 36 hours until the sorry ceremony.
And look, the momentum is really building up, really strong.
On the lawns of the old Parliament House, a tent city has sprung up around the controversial Aboriginal embassy. As Indigenous people from throughout the country set up camp, Lorna Fijo spoke to us of her meeting with Kevin Rudd.
He listened. At least he listened. And no one else listened.
Lorna was taken from her mother as a baby in the 1930s in an Aboriginal settlement near Tennant Creek in the Northern Territory.
We was really snatched and taken away. Why did they separate me from my mother? Okay.
Her own daughter Rosanna was also taken away from her. Mrs Fijo from Darwin, but visiting Canberra to hear the apology, wept as she repeated what she had told the Prime Minister.
Can anything compensate for that? I don't think so. I think, you know, the hurt has been so deep, very deep, that you can't forget.
Lorna Fijo was the representative of the Stolen Generations chosen to light the first candle.
Thank you very much for coming and supporting us.
She was joined by hundreds of others who, by dark, had helped set the light to the new path of reconciliation the country is about to go down. So the stage is set for a pivotal moment in Australian history. The feeling among many members of the Stolen Generations who have made the pilgrimage here is that when Kevin Rudd says sorry on Wednesday, he'll be allowing the nation to move forward. Daniel Street reporting for Nightline.
And there will be live coverage of Sorry Day from Canberra on Wednesday in a special extended version of the Today Show from 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Well, there's more loan rate pain on the way for homeowners, and it could come as soon as next month after a blunt warning today from the Reserve Bank. It believes inflation will remain high this year and will stay over 3% next year.
Ross Greenwood reporting for Nightline.
Twin girls aged just 4 months remain in a critical condition in a Sydney hospital after an alleged attack by their father during a custody visit. The 23-year-old was remanded when he appeared in court today.
Sean Fewing's reporting for Nightline.
The fate of the Nine Network drama Underbelly remains in limbo, in Victoria at least. Wednesday night's premiere depends on a last-minute viewing of the 14-hour series by a Supreme Court judge and the Office of Public Prosecutions.
Tom Steinford for Nightline.
Coming up on Nightline, Paul and Heather's bitter divorce case heads to court. And wild girl Amy Winehouse, the toast of the Grammys. The Jake Kovco inquest has heard a number of new claims about the soldier's death in Baghdad almost 2 years ago. The jury was told the private thought about committing suicide before he was sent to Iraq as he struggled to deal with being molested by a neighbour when he was a boy. The inquest was also told a possible scenario was that Private Kovco was shot by another soldier whose DNA was found on the gun. An earlier military tribunal ruled he accidentally killed himself while skylarking. His family, though, has accused the military of a cover-up. One of the biggest celebrity divorce settlements in history is being thrashed out in the High Court in London at the moment. The battle between Sir Paul McCartney and his estranged wife, Heather Mills, over a fortune estimated at close to $2 billion. Striking Hollywood writers could be back at work by midweek after union leaders endorsed a new contract to settle the bitter 3-month dispute that's crippled the industry. The Writers Guild of America board in New York and Los Angeles have approved a new contract and will now encourage their members to vote for it. That vote will be held tomorrow. The Grammy Awards were on today, unaffected by the writers' strike. Australia's Keith Urban scored a gong as Best Country Performance, his second Grammy. Troubled British singer Amy Winehouse was also celebrating. She won 5 awards, including Record and Song of the Year.
In Los Angeles, Robert Penfold reporting for Nightline.
At the beginning of the movie awards season, Cate Blanchett was looking pretty good with nominations in 2 categories. But first, the Golden Globes and now the British Academy Awards have failed to recognise her. Best Film went to Atonement, while Daniel Day-Lewis continued his dream lead-up to the Oscars.